Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Lunch and Learn. Good to have you here. Some of you are here because maybe you didn't register ahead of time and didn't get the email that told you that we had a switch in the schedule, and you're expecting a retirement seminar today, and you are at a housing seminar to talk about the Brighter Futures Housing Initiative and what God is doing through that. If that's you, I apologize, but I promise you, you are going to have an amazing experience today with Kathy. And next week, Dean Stinchfield will be here. He just about a month and a half ago had a scheduling conflict, and it's always hard when you have things that are printed and things on the web and just to communicate to everybody. So just a reminder, we do have pre-registration for all of these. So if you pre-register, we're able to send you something, and it sure helps us with our planning too, because in the spring, we're going to be having a few lunches that will be happening as well, where we're going to pay for the lunch, and so you'll come to a lunch and learn, and it really helps us out if we know you're coming, if you pre-register for that, so we order enough food. But next week, Dean will be here with Repurposing, Not Retiring. That's our last Lunch and Learn of December, because then we move into the Christmas season. Our new schedule will be out very soon. We have one speaker we're waiting on to confirm with us, but a little change of how we're doing things in the spring. So we're still going to have these every Thursday. We've got some amazing speakers, but we're going to try to be a little bit more purposeful in tying in our Lunch and Learns to the Sunday morning experience as well. And so Kyle will preach on something. We're going to have that same kind of topic, but from a perspective where you can invite anybody in your life to come and to experience, and we're going to go maybe in a different direction than where the sermon went, but it'll be a complimentary type deal. And so in January, we're going to be dealing with some topics around anxiety and grief and leadership. And after Easter, we've got an amazing series called Solomon Gets a Smartphone that's going to be happening in the services. We're going to have speakers here who are going to be talking about technology and how we interact with technology. And so we'll have one of the developers for Microsoft's Copilot, which is an AI program, coming to talk about artificial intelligence and how that's going to change your life and your family and just the implications on that for your kids. We'll have other speakers who will be talking about not letting your phone control you, but just some things on phones. Others will be talking about parenting in a digital age and how you handle things like that. We've got some great counselors like we've had in the past, so they'll be speaking. We're going to be looking at some of the mysteries of prayer, the mysteries of how can we know the Bible is true and accurate, with professor from the University of Northwestern and some other great speakers that you'll find out more about in the days ahead. Do want to let you know, too, in January, we have a conference that's coming up called Adventures in Marriage. And so for those of you who are married in the group, this is an amazing conference that's limited to, I believe, 28 couples. And it'll take place in this room on Friday night and Saturday. $60 is what it costs. You get dinner on Friday. You get lunch on Saturday. Dinner on Friday is coming from Baker's Ribs. I'm already dreaming about January 23rd because of the dinner we're going to have that night, and a great lunch on Saturday. But the content is amazing. Jim and Patty Robinson are the parents of our senior pastor, Kyle. They're also trainers with an organization called Adventures in Marriage. And this is a marriage conference unlike most that people have been to. Highly interactive around the topics of communication and conflict resolution. And if you would like the link for that, it'll be on the Family Resource Initiative Instagram page next week. You can come see me afterwards, and I can get you the early link on that if that's something you're interested in registering for, because it will fill up very, very, very fast, and I don't want you to miss that. Our speaker today is no stranger to Wooddale Church and no stranger to the Family Resource Initiative. If you were at our annual meeting, you heard some brand new news. And so just 3 years ago, we planted a brand new ministry here called the Family Resource Initiative, and I got to be a part of that. And I got to hire someone to partner with me named Kathy, who has a background in social work. She has worked with families in crisis, and she's worked with just so many different individuals over the years and been such a blessing to them. And she has been kind of my partner in crime in the Family Resource. And about 1.5 years ago, Kyle was talking to the director of actually the school superintendent for the Eden Prairie School District, and said, hey, how can we as a church come alongside you in even deeper ways than we have in the past? And he threw out a bunch of ideas, and one of the ideas that was thrown out was, we could really use some help. We've got 180 unhoused kids in the school district. Could you help us dream about how we can make a difference there? And what developed was really Kathy and a team of volunteers around her that put together our housing assistance program that has been so successful that we have just launched it as of 2 months ago into its own 501c3 organization called Futures.Life. We've already helped over 20 families. She's going to tell you the fuller story of this. I don't want to steal her thunder. But we are blessing other churches around the Twin Cities now who are wanting to do similar things and providing a resource. The team has grown, and so I would be remiss if, as Kathy is up here, I didn't point Nicole Brush and Maddie Meeker out to you who are at the table to the far right here, who are also on staff in the Brighter Futures program, and then John Rasmussen, who's not here today, is our executive director of that now. And so Kathy has built something from the ground up that God is doing extraordinary things, and we've been able to be kind of on the front row seat of that. So would you welcome Kathy as she comes up to talk today? Kathy, married to Florian, 2 incredible kids.
So he tells the truth when he says, I came to work here in I think it was January of 2023, in a part-time position. And with my background, whether it was personal in my life or in the work that I do, I wanted to be a social worker since I was 15. And I came into this great organization that Brian was running, Family Resource, and within 2 months, I started working full-time. And God just kept bringing things to us, whether it was Care Portal or the clothing closet, and then finally the housing assistance program. When that happens, and you know you're called to this, and God redeems everything in your life and brings you into this, it's the most amazing thing that can happen. And so as we began to develop this, I was still working in Family Resource, and we were watching this thing get developed, and we used 5 pilot families, and that worked out really well, so it started to grow, and then all of a sudden it became its own organization as of September, so that's kind of fun. So one of the things that I love to do is walk beside people in hardship. And as we hired Maddie and Nicole, I was looking for the same kind of heart, but some different gifts that I didn't have that they would have. And they came, and God delivered, and very fortunate if you guys would just raise your hands. Nicole handles our volunteer seeking and some of our public engagement, and Maddie handles all of the applications and the paperwork and the flow of things and connecting with all of the volunteers that we have, I'll explain this all later, but we have practically 3 volunteers for every family. So this is designed to give you a window into what the world looks like from Futures.Life perspective. And sometimes our days are hard, and sometimes we have the greatest joy to witness what God can do firsthand. And that makes an amazing day. It makes the walk, no matter what the walk has been, it makes the walk amazing. For me, you're going to see my hands move because I'm Italian. And holding a mic and turning pages and clicking things. Brian's talking about technology and AI and ChatGPT, and I just bought a new cell phone that I don't know how it works. So, Brian already told you some of this. In 2023, we heard from the school that there were a number of children that were unhoused in Eden Prairie. So we started looking into it. Not sure what we would do, but we did develop a program that we thought might work. And it was one that would have wraparound care, what I call umbrella of care, with our families as we brought them in. One of the things I learned while I was researching this was Bloomington schools. So Eden Prairie had over, in the beginning in 2023, they had 187. By 2024, Bloomington schools had over 800 students that were unhoused. That was part of the migration that happened with people coming up from Venezuela and Latin America. And if anybody knew about it at the time, Hennepin County was housing people in hotels, which sometimes can be considered unhoused. So when we heard all of this, we knew we had to do something as a church, as a neighbor in the area, and we started with 5 families from Eden Prairie, just to see if the program worked. And we found that it was working really well. So then we opened it up, and we went into Richfield, Bloomington, Minnetonka, Hopkins, Richfield, I said Richfield. So we had 6 cities near us that we would go into the schools, talk to the social workers, and they would vet the families for us to some extent. And then the families come in, and we start talking to them and decide whether they are a good fit. At Brighter Futures, we absolutely believe that every family deserves to have a home. And we also believe that every family should have food, and every family should have good neighbors and people who care and community. And we operate on that premise. You're going to see a slide here that's going to come up after this one that talks about what happens to children when they're not housed and how that affects them for the long term. But for now, this is what we provide in the program. If somebody is brought into the program, we find that they are a good candidate. We start working with them, and we work in 6-month intervals. And then at 6 months' time, we review their progress to see if we're going to continue and extend them. We offer a partial rent relief, and what that does is slows down the chaos immediately so that families and parents can start to concentrate on other things. Our family partners get involved, and they're just nurturing them. They're navigating life with them. They're encouraging them. And the budget coach is involved on a one-to-one basis, looking at every single financial thing that they have and building out a program for them and then transferring that program to them. And the ultimate desire is to watch them change and watch them start to manage their own money. You would be surprised at how many people have never been taught how to work their money. And I'm not talking about investments. I'm talking about a regular, everyday checking account. Schools don't teach it that much anymore. And we hear it over and over. I had no idea. I didn't know what this was. So we're teaching them things. Children who experience life without a home, and with that comes an awful lot of stress on the adults in the home. So you can imagine what home life looks like. They have higher levels of emotional and behavioral problems. They have increased risk of serious health problems. This is proven. They're more likely to experience separation from their families. A lot of times what happens to new-to-country families is the kids come here, they start going to school, they start getting Americanized, is what I call it, and they stop getting along at home because the parents are still bringing some of their traditions into the family life, and the kids are being Americanized. So they start church hopping, or they're asked to leave the home. So there's a lot of stress happening in the home. They have higher rates of school mobility, grade repetition, expulsion, and it's not unusual for them to drop out before they're 18 years old, which means they didn't finish high school, which means they don't get a job, which means their lives start to spin. They have lower academic performance than other low-income children who do have a home. One of the things I want to say before we go to this next slide is, when I was putting this together, I am pretty familiar with Habitat Humanity. I couldn't find the quote anymore, but one of the women who was a recipient of a home had the greatest quote of all, and she said, "Without a home, nothing else works. You don't know where you're going to go to work because you don't know where you're going to sleep, and you don't know how you're going to take a bath, and you don't know where your clothes are. The home is the foundation of every single person's life." So I want to know from you, what does home feel like to you? Brian's going to come around.
Yeah, so if you just answer that question, I'm going to bring the mic to you so people on the screen who are watching can hear you.
What
So,
does it
like?
feel to you? What does it mean to you?
I'm going to randomize you. I'm just going to make you speak. Here we go. What's home feel like?
Safe and comfortable.
Good.
Dependable.
Gotcha. All right. Francis, what do you think?
Least stress.
Probably get along better with others in your family.
Okay. Good. Maddie, what does home feel like to a newlywed?
A place for community.
Awesome. All right, ladies, I'm coming to your table. You're right up front. We got to get you talking. What does home feel like?
Safe.
Yeah.
It's a safe and a place to be loved.
Gotcha.
I was going to say, it's love. Home is love.
Love it. Okay.
A place to be and a place to be able to be the hostess so we can invite people over.
Love it.
Comfy.
Really comfy at Christmas time, right?
Safety.
Love it.
Supportive, peaceful.
Okay.
So those are all the things that you feel about home. I once had the opportunity to hear the headmaster of Wheaton tell this story, and I'm going to make it, I won't do it as well as he does. But people that are diverse in culture and in ethnicity, we all started on third base to get to home plate. We all had somewhat of an education. We all had a roof over our heads. We all had jobs, cars that would work. There's an awful lot of people in poverty that start on first base, and how long it takes them to get around, and the hurdles and the obstacles in their way, just because of where they were born, how they were born, what their family's culture is happening. That all is part of the equation of what home can look like. And there is thoughts about homelessness, societal thoughts, how people become homeless. They must be, what, lazy? What do you think society says? Uneducated? If you were in our training program, you would learn so much more about that. The common responses when you ask the question about home is peace, safety, comfort, stability, memories, and belonging. A lot of our families don't get to experience that. They're just going day to day trying to figure out how much money they're going to have to put in their gas tank tomorrow. Home is an emotional and a relational and a spiritual foundation. And when it is shaken or when it doesn't exist, everything else becomes harder. So as we were thinking about this program, we're like, how do we get in there and change that trajectory for the children? This program works through the parents, but it's for the children. And children who do not have a home or are couch hopping are being shuttled back and forth to school. Sometimes they get there on time, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they eat before they go, sometimes they don't. There's a lot happening there, and sometimes it's not about the money. Sometimes our families can actually make enough money, they don't know how to use it. To understand housing instability is to open your mind and open your heart and understand that sometimes it's not because somebody didn't do something right. It's not necessarily about irresponsibility. Think about it this way. The going rate to be hired in any company in the Twin Cities, the actual average right now is about $22 an hour. You equate that times a monthly salary, which would be about $3,200. Rent in Eden Prairie or even Minnetonka or Bloomington runs between $1,550 and $1,700. This is not a really nice apartment. These are not great apartments. That's half of your money coming in. That leaves you with whatever else is left over for a car payment, car insurance, food, just the normal stability of life. So it's not that our families are impoverished. They don't know how to manage that money, right? And they're not making enough. And so we kind of do step into that arena with them. But when you think about it like that, all of a sudden they're not so impoverished. $3,200, $3,500 a month is a good amount of money. But it's not if you have 3 children and you're a single parent and you're going to work all day long. Sometimes they have to choose between the rent, the food, the car, just to make it work, which is why they use credit cards. It's not unusual for us to hear somebody say, well, I have $10 and I don't want to spend it. I've got to put gas in the car for the rest of the week. And it's only because they just don't know how to manage the money, or something interrupts life, like a medical bill. We have a family who just had a car accident last night. It's going to send her into something that we are praying for. And one of the things that keeps me going since we started this is Galatians 6:2. Carry each other's burdens. It doesn't say rescue them. It doesn't say you're going to change their entire life. But it does say share the burden. Help them along. Walk beside them. This is part of a training program that we have. This is pretty interesting. In Hennepin County, as of this year, and across the nation, the federal poverty line is $26,600. If you're getting any subsidies and you go $1 over that, your subsidies go away. You can't have them. So think about a family of 3. That's the income level that they get to go to. That's it. So when you hear reports about people misusing and abusing the system, and you know that number, and it's holding them from getting a full-time job, because if they go over, they don't have any more subsidies. They don't have any medical insurance. They don't have any of that. It's not built to help. It was built to help for a period of time, but not a lifetime. In Hennepin County, 10.1% of our neighbors live under the poverty line. Hennepin County is one of the largest counties in the United States, and that's a huge number. There's all kinds of different of poverty. There's financial poverty, there's physical, mental. The one that always skews me is the relational and support. And I would add to that, being a Christian, spiritual poverty, which we talk about a lot in Family Resource. Our program works in a comprehensive system, which I absolutely love. We put what we call family partners around each family. As I said before, that's somebody who helps them navigate life. We encourage people into new ways of thinking. And it's so great when you see their minds start to take in what you've been telling them for a couple of months, 2 and 3 months, that you believe in them, that they can do it. And we get to see how the wheels start to turn. And by 6 months, definitely by 8 months, we're seeing a change in the family dynamics. We offer a rental support. Sometimes that is about as much rent as they're paying, and other times it's not. Sometimes we see enough financial stability that we don't have to pay that full amount for them, and we are then moving in and teaching them how to manage their money. And our budget coaches are amazing at transferring concepts of money to our families. And you notice I say our families because we grow to love them. And our family partners, one family was graduating, and the family partner said, does this mean I don't have to see them anymore? I don't get to see them anymore? And we're like, no. She's like, I need to see them. That relationship's continued into 2 years. Yeah. So we have the budget coaching, and then optional to our families, and one of the things we do watch for is, do they want to know about God? Do they want to grow in Christ? We are respectful. We do have families who are of a Muslim faith. We have families who don't believe, and we have families who do. And we respect them with the hope that they would have the hope that we have. So that's pretty small to read. I'm going to go to my papers here because I don't want to mess this one up. I love our program. I live our program. Our mission and our goal is to help families build lasting stability, strengthen resilience, and move toward a brighter future filled with hope. Our values inside it, whether we're staff members or volunteers, our values are really important because from the very beginning, we are modeling to our families how they can be and how they can live. And it can be the smallest thing. It can be even the smallest thing that we're not teaching, we're just moving in. It's just how we talk, how we care. We are compassionate. We meet every family with empathy. And there's a difference between empathy and sympathy. And one of the things that we teach to our volunteers is that difference. And when you meet with some of these families or you see how some of them are living, it's kind of hard not to go, oh, so sorry. But we don't do that because it is what they've been given, and we're going to teach them how to do something different if they want it. It's really up to them if they want it. We are hoping and moving toward empowerment so that they eventually leave us and they can do it on their own. And that's what one of the things that we look for around the 6th or 7th month. We have had people graduate at 6 months, and we've had people graduate at a year. And we've had 2 families be suspended for not really participating in the program. We have hope, we extend it. One of my favorite lines when I meet people, and I don't know how it came to me and when it came to me, it was years ago, was if I see in their eyes, I don't see hope, I ask them to borrow mine because I know what we can do together. And I've seen it work. And we work very highly in integrity. Our families come into the program and we hold them confidentially. You will never know that they're among you unless they tell you. We do this to preserve their dignity. Not everybody comes to it without shame. Sometimes there's shame in there. And we wait until that shame has lessened and until they decide to say, I'm part of the housing assistance program. We don't think there's anything shameful about it. To me, it's like Celebrate Recovery. I think everybody can benefit from Celebrate Recovery just by being in there. It's not always about addiction. And I think everybody could benefit by sitting down with a budget coach and hearing some things that maybe you never knew before. And those things are on our website. I'm going to show you what hope looks like. You may have seen this video last Christmas. We have a second video coming out because this Christmas Eve, Brighter Futures will be, Brian, do they call it the Compassion? Christmas Eve offering will be for Brighter Futures again this year. This is Mata Cruz. She was one of our first families. Do you do that or do I?
So my name is Mari Cruz. About 6 months ago, I was in an abusive relationship and I knew something had to change, so I left that relationship. I did find myself struggling financially and in every way.
This program was developed to aim at reducing the chaos in the lives of children. So when we heard that there were 200 students that were unhoused in the Eden Prairie community, in response, the Family Resource Initiative launched the Housing Assistance Program in 2024 to help families regain stability and control over their lives, and to just simply reduce the chaos in the lives of the children. One of these families is Mata Cruz, suddenly faced with the demands of single parenting. She was working full-time, but yet she was still struggling to meet the financial pressures of her new reality of raising 2 adolescent boys on her own. She began the journey of building a stable foundation for her family and to secure a brighter future for all of them.
When I connected to Kathy and Wooddale Church, I had a lot of financial debt. Being open, it was sort of like a lot, but I knew that I wanted to get out of it and I wanted to get help.
Today, Mara Cruz is dedicated more than ever to transforming her future, attending her regular meetings with financial coaches and family mentors.
You know, my role is really to just advise her. It's just a matter of coming alongside somebody and helping them to get to that higher level, then they can do it on their own.
Having a relationship with Steve, it really gives me the knowledge that I am able to pass on to my kids. I just really like how he explains things to me, and I'm learning a lot. And when I was partnered with Mike and Carla, I can just see and feel the love and the care they have for me and my boys.
We get to just foster their growth as a family and in the community.
We kind of envision it like if our kids needed help, so giving encouragement, giving support, giving advice, tips.
And with me not actually having my parents here all the time, it sort of feels like that's an extended of family members that are sort of like parents. I think there is a great need for this program, and I am very grateful that this program exists. I just know there's so many other moms and dads that have same stories as to I have. Like, I didn't once know, and I got connected, and I'm very, very grateful for that.
So today, Mona Cruz is still friends with her family partner. She still talks to Steve Woodley every once in a while. She has been married now. She's had a baby. And I hear she's currently looking for a job to help with the family income. Her two boys have grown immensely since she's been in this program, and I don't mean just physically, but they have grown physically. When I look across, she comes to church, she's come to know the Lord, and when I look across the lobby and I see her walk in with her family, I cannot help but think what God has done in the life of that family. And that's really what we hope for, is we get a chance to take a peek inside of a family life that all of a sudden takes a turn that normally wouldn't have been. And we just keep seeing it over and over again. We've served 23, 24 families, and we have 17 active families in the program right now. So if you do the math, if there's 2 to 3 volunteers in there, how many is that, Nicole? Over 40 volunteers. Wooddale Church is about to take this program, which is one of the reasons why we made it its own organization. We are now going to other churches. We've contacted our daughter churches. We've contacted our granddaughter churches. We've contacted churches that have no connection to us. And we're bringing this program to them. We will continue to do the heavy lifting and the workload. They will have their own volunteers that we will train. And if they can't find a family, we'll find a family. And so we're just starting to open it up to that side. We are partnered with Wooddale Church. Now that we are a separate organization in its sense, we'll always still remain here in this building for a couple years. But we'll still have our local families that we're going to operate with, between 15 and 20 every year. And we'll also be doing the churches at the same time. So it's growing. And it's growing really fast. It's growing really fast. Maddie can attest to that, how quickly it grew in the last few months as we were bringing families in. The number we wanted to reach was 20, and we reached it at our goal in August. But we've gone over that now. And it's just such a joy. And then Nicole's job in finding volunteers and coming into the schools with me and different nonprofit organizations to spread the word of this. That will begin in January, but she's been working feverishly, finding all of our volunteers, and both of them have been God-sent to us. Couldn't have done this without them. Maddie joined us in April. Nicole joined us in July. Yeah, in July. And John Rasmussen has been brought in to be the executive director, and John's main thrust will be the fundraising abilities, and then he's helping us to create an automated system that we need to track all of our families and all of the things that are going on and the connections that we make. So he's been instrumental in that way in helping us streamline some of our procedures, and he's just really wonderful to work with. He's just joined us as a volunteer. He came in as an executive from Wells Fargo. So we're growing, and in that comes, how do you want to be part of the journey? If you want to be part of the journey. If you don't, all I can tell you is you're missing a great opportunity to get to know and love on families. You can come in as a family partner. You can come in as a budget coach, could be part of a prayer team that we'd like to begin to start. All of those things can be, you can talk to Maddie or Nicole or myself about those. We would love to have financial support now that we are out on our own. We are toddlers. Brian used to call us a baby over at the Family Resource. I think we're maybe still a baby, but we're just getting started. So financial support is always important. And you can share this vision with other people. I can't tell you how many of the phone calls we get of people who normally they're referred by a school social worker or another nonprofit social worker. But with our website up, we're getting referrals directly from families. Or somebody says, my friend told me about this, or I saw this online. So the word is starting to spread, and it spreads really fast. So that's kind of what we're doing in Brighter Futures, and it's called BrighterFutures.Life, and that's what our website is under, and all of that's been developed and is ready to go. As we close this up or move this into questions, I want you to know that the families, really most importantly, if you take away anything, families and people who are in hardship, they don't want to be rescued. They just want someone to believe in them and give them empowerment that nobody gave to them before. And that's what we do as people who love Jesus. We just let that flow through our hands. And it really does work. And with compassion, faith, and support, we help restore their futures. We really get to watch the trajectory change. And you know, one of the things we do get to do, we have waivers that allow us to talk to the schools and find out, is the child doing better? Is the chaos slowed down? What does the social worker have to tell us? So we get to know the intimate details, and that's something that the families agree to, just like they agree to open up their bank accounts to us so that we can see where the spending's happening, things like that. And if you want more information and referrals, you can find us on BrighterFutures.Life. How about some questions?
I've got the mic. Who's got questions? Yeah, Larry.
Larry's an old friend of mine.
I got a couple questions
Of course you do.
from totally different perspectives.
Yes.
Number one is you were saying that a lot of people lose their money from the government because their poverty level. They lose all their benefits after 26,000 or whatever it was. How often do you find people specifically trying to stay under 26,000 just so they can continue their benefits?
I really don't know, and I say that because we are connected to Hennepin County in a very deep way. Hennepin County and Brighter Futures do exchange families from time to time. And there is a confidentiality between social workers that unless we have waivers, we don't know all of the ins and outs, and they don't know all of the ins and outs of ours when I send somebody to them that I can't fill or take in. I can't answer that question because it's hard for the families. I mean, it's not easy to live on $26,000 with 3 children, right? And that's current number.
Right.
So when you think about that, if you wanted to go out and get a job, think about a single parent, even with 1 child, who wants to go out and get a job, gets a job that pays $30,000 a year, 32, because usually there's not a college education. So maybe it's going to be about 32,000, but guess what happens? He has to pay, he or she has to pay childcare. And that's a BMW payment, right? And so that comes right off the top. Sometimes the county will take away sort of like the health insurance or some of the food stuff and allow the child care to be assisted by the county. And by the way, the money that we give to our families is gifted. So when we set this up, Hennepin County is aware of what we did. And if we need to, we can put a family into subsidy and still work with them in our program because it's not income. It's a gift from the church or now from Brighter Futures. So we did that, targeted that for sure because there are families who do need the subsidies. Before I did this, I worked, I had my own thing in Delaware. And one of the things I learned there and started to work inside of was to put people into the system to get them out of the system. You have to slow down what's going on in order to teach them how to move forward. I'm sorry I can't answer it more clearly for you.
That was a good answer, though.
Okay.
Second question, totally opposite side of it. That poverty level is $26,000. There are a lot of retired people, single, who would qualify under the poverty level. How are you addressing that as far as a group? Because your main focus is on family with kids.
It is the focus.
Okay, so you're not addressing the elder at all?
We're not, and we do get phone calls. I just had one last week from senior person who was really living in hardship, and because she didn't have any children, we had to say no, but that doesn't mean no. Sometimes it goes to Pastor Dan and his group, and they figure out whether they can do something or not. But those are not long-term fixes, right? Those are one-time fixes. And there are a lot of seniors out there right now. One of the things that we looked at when we were developing this was, how do we catch those families before eviction happens? If there's an eviction, it stays on your record for 7 years. It's like bankruptcy. Nobody's going to touch you. You'll be unhoused for quite some time unless some landlord has a good heart and says, I'll take my chances with you, which doesn't really happen that often. So when we looked at it, we said, children in school, no prior eviction. Let's catch you before it happens. Let's try to get there before it happens. Sometimes it's somebody who's had a medical crisis and the bills are too high and the income is high. I once worked for a nonprofit organization where it was for Christmas gifts, and you had to turn in your electric bill to prove that you were in that county. And this man came, and I knew because I did his intake, but he had been an executive at 3M. He lost his job. They were living all the way up to the height of his home. He had 3 very nice cars. And when he pulled up to get Christmas gifts for his kids, he was losing his house. He was 1 month away from losing the house. The car was being repossessed. He didn't have any money, couldn't get another job. And people who were volunteering were like, how can this guy come in here and get Christmas presents? He's driving a BMW. Well, I couldn't say, but I knew, right? So we don't always know what we see, and we don't know what's going on in a home, which is why, as Christians, we shouldn't be judgmental. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really good. Good answer. And again, remember, this was founded because of a request from the school district to say, hey, can you help us on that? And so with anything that we do here, we'd love to be able to solve every problem, but we can't. And so we're gonna focus on certain areas with each one of those ministries we start. Yeah.
So is Brighter Futures now a nonprofit?
Yes, it is. Okay. Yes, it is.
Good question. Yeah.
I imagine you partner with Hennepin County Resources, like, is it Section 8 housing and things like that? Can you talk about how you pull in other Hennepin County resources?
How I pull the county resources in?
How does Brighter Futures work with other resources that are out there for these people? I'm curious.
So we're well aware of a lot of the resources that are out there, and we have connections inside of Hennepin County, actual people. So if we get an application that we know maybe the income is too low for what the debt is, we're not going to be able to help that person in a year's time, we will make a phone call to one of our actual people that we know inside the units and say, I've got this kind of family, what do you think, can you take them? And then I just send their information over once I have approval from the family to do so.
Okay.
But they are confidential conversations, and they are not a lot of information. So like when we get a referral, all I get from, let's say, Eden Prairie School social worker is the name, the contact number, the email, and that's it. So I make the initial phone call, and I, just having years of experience, know what to ask and how to ask. And so I'm finding out the information, and then from me, it goes to Maddie if we're going to send an application. If we're going to say no from the very beginning, maybe they have been evicted. Maybe they have 8 kids, and we probably couldn't handle that. I will be the one to say no in the beginning, but if I say yes, then it goes to Maddie, and she sends out all of the things that we need to get in order to look at an application. And the application is very detailed because we are weeding out people from different things that we would not have the capacity to handle. And then from there it goes, and the family comes in, and we're off and running. Yeah. But we love our connection with Hennepin County because it's a good friendship. We've had the opportunity to pray for the caseworkers and with them. And they have the same heart that we do. And it is a heart to help. And we've just been really blessed by them.
I just have a real quick comment to Larry. I'm a mentee for an abused woman, and she's below that poverty level, and she is very keen that she will not want to lose those benefits. So she works gig economy stuff, and she works in her mom's name. So she's a gamer, but she will game whatever she can to make enough money.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes we look at that. We do see that.
good or bad.
Yeah.
We see that in the phone calls that are made on the initial side. I personally look at it as a means of coping. I don't like when people use the system in that way, but I also understand that when you don't have and you need to eat, you're going to come by it however you can. And what we give to our families is an understanding that we understand where that comes from, and if you come with us, we're going to teach you something that you won't have to think that way. And that's what I was talking about when I said when their mind starts to change, they start to understand that they don't have to cope in that way. There's other ways. They're smart. People are very smart, and if they take those smarts and they have guidance, good guidance and good encouragement, they will take it into a direction that is helpful instead of trying to go through the system and sometimes abuse the system. And
Yeah, and Kathy's talked about Hennepin County, but just so you know, like in this program, it's been Hennepin County, it's been Hart and Heartland down in Shakopee, it's been Prop right in our own backyard, it's been everything from Arrive Ministries to, I mean, we've had so many just different partners along the way in here that, and then within Wooddale Church, we want to try to connect these families as much as we can to the church. And so if you're underemployed, our job transition support group is an amazing spot for you to spend some time on a Monday morning to get some coaching for your career, to maybe be able to get beyond that poverty level, because now we've helped you move past some of that. Celebrate Recovery has been a partner with us, and then so many of these families need counseling. They've been through trauma, they've been through abusive relationships, they've been through just difficulty, and through our care department, we'll cover the first 5 appointments with a counselor for them as well. And so there's just partnerships all around. Yeah. So there's so much that we want to do to come alongside in that wraparound care, and then the families and the partners are just so key. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing. All right, other questions?
any other questions?
So really good. Kathy, how many more volunteers do you need in the next year if you're going to reach another 23 families this
Somebody
year?
asked me just a couple of weeks ago in the churches, how many do you want to get to? And I said, 20. We'll do 20 churches. Now, they will have, hopefully, their own volunteers, but it requires us to train them. Nicole shakes in her chair. I think that if we can do 20 churches in the Twin Cities area, so imagine if we did 20 families. Now, not every church can do that. A church may not only be able to do 1, if at all, right? Because there's a cost to this. But imagine if we do that and we start to change the landscape of families, right? If we do 20 every year, or 15 to 20, and another church does 1, and another one does 3, and another one does 5, and a big church can do another 15, all of a sudden, look at how you're affecting your neighborhoods. Because when the kids get food, and the kids get shelter, and they get to go to school on time, and mom isn't totally stressed out, life changes, and they get to pay attention in school, they become civic people, right? They have an opportunity to do extracurricular activities, which is so important. Their brain development is affected. There's so much that goes into this. There's so much that goes into this that we don't get to see. We do follow the families after they graduate, 6 months after, 12 months after, 18 months after, so that we can see what worked and what didn't, so that we're always tweaking it as we go along. Nicole is saying it would take 40 to 60 more volunteers. Having said that, we do have volunteers that repeat, that are dedicated to this. They really love it, and so they'll come back. It's kind of like Celebrate Recovery. Sometimes they'll step out for a couple months, and then they'll come on back in. Sometimes they just roll right over into it again. So it's really, it's hard on some days, but it's so rewarding. It's so rewarding to watch those families change. Yeah.
So Wooddale has a lot of Christmas Eve services coming up on the 23rd and the 24th of December. And give them a preview of what they're going to hear on Christmas Eve as it relates to Brighter Futures. You get a little sneak peek, like you have a video, like, oh, okay.
No, we just made another video with one of our families. Her name is Shakota. And the video isn't ready yet. I was just upstairs with our communications people and said, "Where's the video?" And they said, "You won't see it till the
No,
9th.
not the sneak peek of the video, but just the story, just a glimpse into Shakota's story. What
Well,
are they, what can they look forward
it's
to?
similar to the one that you just saw. So Shakota was a single parent, 2 boys, teenagers, and had a very rough start in a marriage and left it. And she works full-time as a nurse for M Health. And she came into the clothing closet one night, and I happened to be there, and I saw it in her eyes. And I went to her and just said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "I'm not. I'm in here to get coats for my boys." And I said, "What else? Are you okay?" And she started to cry, and we came into the family resource and sat for a while, and she unfolded her story. And she was not homeless, but her money was everywhere else, and she had no idea how to manage it. Shakota has worked with her budget coach and her family partner for the course of 12 months, and she is graduating in January, and she just made a video for us, and you'll get to see her on Christmas Eve. If you're coming to any one of our services, you'll see her there. She's been to church with me. She's come to know the Lord right after the video. She accepted Jesus, and yeah, she's got a good story to tell of how just being in the program built her confidence, her personal self-esteem. She didn't know how to do it, but she can do it, and she learned she could do it. And all of a sudden, in front of us is a completely different person, mental health-wise, physical health-wise. Her boys are a little bit happier, but they're giving her a hard time. And it's just been a good story to watch, just like Mother Cruz was. I mean, it's just amazing, and we see it over and over and over. Sometimes they do what we call, I call the cha-cha. Sometimes when we're working with them, it takes about 3 months for them to open up everything to us. Imagine if I came to you and said, "I want to see all your bank accounts." You'd be like, "Yeah, I don't think so." And sometimes around the 4th or 5th month, they do really well. They start to get the concepts, they do really well, and then on that 5th month, they do a step backwards, going, "I did really well, now I'm gonna have a good time." And we call it the cha-cha. We know that they're gonna step back and then come forward. So it takes a lot of patience. It just takes a lot of love. It takes letting God do what he does. Really, that's what it is.
Awesome. Well, if you've got any questions you want to ask personally to Kathy afterwards, she'll stick around here for a couple minutes. Or Nicole, who's in charge of our volunteers. Yeah, that's right. So, but we'd be happy to answer any questions for you on that. Next week, Dean Stinchfield will be here talking about repurposing, not retiring, and how to do the cha-cha. And so hang out with Dean next week, and we'll have some cha-cha lessons. Next semester is going to be awesome, too. I cannot wait for you to see the full schedule for January through May. Again, some amazing, amazing, amazing speakers that are coming, great topics. And Maddie is going to actually be one of our speakers in January. So you'll get to hear from one more member of this team at a very different topic, the topic of lament. And so you can find out what that means then. All right, thank you. Have a great day.